Recent Foreign Minister Moussa Koussa, this man, meantime, is in Britain. Officials say he's talking to them willingly and that no deal was made to secure his cooperation. They say he's as close to Gaddafi as someone can be without being family. Yet to hear the regime tell it today, his departure was no big deal, and neither is he. Listen.
Well, Mr. Moussa Koussa asked for a sick leave because he was exhausted physically and he had diabetes and high blood pressure. The government or the authorities gave him the permission to leave the country to look after himself because he was in bad need for intensive medical care. And since he arrived in Tunisia a day after, we didn't have any communications with him. We understand now that he resigned from his position. That's his personal decision. Other people will step in to do the job.
But for Colonel, sorry, the question was, but for Colonel Gaddafi, is this a big blow? Does he feel this is a big blow?
Colonel Gaddafi is surrounded by many people who admire him and are prepared to work with him and under his leadership. It's never dependent on one person.
Spokesman Moussa Ibrahim saying a sick old man who's not very important anyhow asks in the middle of war for a little time off. Then in the heat of battle with his government under attack, he decamps to one of the foreign countries that just so happens to be bombing his homeland and starts talking to that country's intelligence services. Happens every day. Keeping him honest, even if that scenario weren't absurd on the face of it, it also runs hard into a freight load of facts. Claim one, Moussa Koussa was old and sick, ill and exhausted. Well, for starters, he's several years younger than Muammar Gaddafi. As for his health, well, judge for yourself. During his last news conference 2 weeks ago, right after the UN authorized using force against Libya, his hands were trembling a bit. Now, here's a frame taken from the video we showed a moment ago from his interview in February with Nick Robertson. Seems to be in relatively good shape there. Here he is last October meeting and greeting Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez. Nothing unusual about his appearance, and he certainly was healthy enough to travel. This is Moussa Koussa in Beijing, China last May. He was in Brussels in March and in Madrid in February. More recently, he was in Italy 2 months ago, and at the UN a little over 6 months ago. Pretty heavy schedule for a sick old man. As for the claim that his departure is not so important because he himself wasn't so important, what was he doing with all those world leaders? Before that was such an what was such an insignificant and replaceable figure such as himself doing as head of Libyan intelligence for 15 years? What was he doing allegedly overseeing the Pan Am 103 bombing as well as assassination campaigns targeting Libyan dissidents overseas? What was he doing so close to Gaddafi since almost day one? Yet today, faced with those facts, spokesman Moussa Ibrahim said his departure would have little impact on the regime. Well, if all this sounds familiar, that's because this isn't the first time that Moussa Ibrahim has been confronted by facts that contradict his story. Take a look at what happened when we confronted him on the regime's allegation that foreigners pushing drugs were behind this entire uprising. The claim I find hardest to understand is this claim that Libya's youth are being given hallucinatory pills and then brainwashed to attack. Again, Gaddafi said it was Americans doing this first. Now he says it's bin Laden. What drugs are being used? Specifically, what hallucinatory pills?
Actually, the leader did not specifically accuse the United States of America. He really said that Al-Qaeda are very highly trained individuals who now look more secular than the dwellers of the caves in Afghanistan. They wear trainers and jeans.
I'm asking you what pills, what hallucinatory pills?
Young people to join them against. We did indeed capture young people using those pills to...
What pills? No, I'm asking. I mean, are you talking about methamphetamine? Are you talking about ecstasy? Are you talking about LSD? Are you talking... what are you talking about? They didn't have an answer. Gaddafi's authorities, by the way, eventually showed reporters a shipment of drugs they said were hallucinogens. Instead, they were pain pills that don't cause hallucinations. They actually cause constipation. Joining